everyone! SparkDojo Youtube チャンネルです。今回のパートナーは
トレーナーたくまです。
よろしくお願いします。さて今回はですね、コミュニケーション能力はどれぐらいキャリアに影響するのかというテーマについてお話ししていきたいと思います。最近特にですね、ビジネスにおいてのコミュニケーションスキル、コミュニケーション能力は重要だって言われてますけど、そもそもコミュニケーション能力って一体何なのか、日本人の思うコミュニケーション能力、ベストなコミュニケーションスキルと、例えばアメリカ人の思うコミュニケーション能力はどう違うのかだったら、グローバルなコミュニケーション能力を身につけるためには一体何をすればいいのか、どう鍛えられるのか、このテーマについて今日は、考えていきたいと思います。So, Takuma, what do you think about these communication skills that we're talking about here? First in Japan versus maybe in a global context.
I think the style of communication is completely different when you're working in Japan and when you're working in a more global context. I worked in a consulting company in Japan. Our clients were Japanese, and we had global projects. But a lot of the communication internally and with clients were in Japanese. And then I worked for a French company, and it was a very big global company. So most of my clients were still Japanese, but I spent more time communicating internally with other people from around the world: China, Thailand, Europe, France, of course, and North America. So when that sort of communication took place, it was completely different from the Japanese style of communication. More specifically, it was about making sure you know who you're speaking to, and they know who you are. So it was a lot of expressing ideas, describing yourself, including what skills you have and what's important for you.
So clear communication to you equals global communication.
Yes, especially because people come from different backgrounds. People come from different, have different ideas, have different values.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, Japan is a high context culture, meaning most people share the same cultural values, cultural history, ethnic background. So in Japan, maybe good communication skills might mean horenso or reading the atmosphere, 空気を読む. But as you say, in a global team where each and every person have different values and cultural backgrounds, it's a very low context environment. So you need to be very clear with your communication. Okay, so how do we do that? At SparkDojo, we focus on 3 pillars of communication: mindset, language, and techniques. And we'd like to go through each one to talk about tips, tricks, and recommendations to better your communication skills. Let's start with mindset.
Okay.
What do you think about a good communicator's mindset?
Okay. A good communicator's mindset is to have a good idea that communication happens between not just one-on-one or one with groups. It's always about everyone who's involved. So you need to know what people are thinking. You need to be clear about what you're thinking before you start the communication. I mean, you can work on that as you communicate, but at the same time, once again, clear communication, right? So think about what you're going to say, what you're thinking, and think about what others are going to say, what others are thinking.
Okay, so mindset-wise, maybe thinking that each person is different completely from you and from each other.
Yes.
And starting with that assumption, you have to have the mindset of open-mindedness. That you need to treat each person as individuals and search their values and their thinking and their maybe even work style as well. Okay.
Exactly.
So an open-minded and curious mindset. Okay. How about for language?
For language, try to be, so once again, we said clear, right? So what's clear language? It means that you have to be quite specific and quite direct. So if you beat around the bush, it could be misinterpreted somehow.
What is beat around the bush?
Beat around the bush means you're talking about a couple things that are related in order to get to the main point.
So maybe indirect.
Indirect.
Yeah.
Yes. So instead of that style of language, try to be very clear about your thoughts. Do you like it? Yes or no? Do you agree? Yes or no? Trying to be direct about your thoughts and ideas will make it easier for other people who come from different backgrounds, who come from different cultures, to understand you better.
Definitely. And also defining maybe key terms so that the meaning is 100% clear.
Yeah.
For example, I worked in a global media company and my team consisted of someone from Poland, from India, from Uzbekistan, from America, me from Pakistan as well. So each person had a different definition of what deadline meant.
Okay.
Is it a 100% deadline, like you must follow it, which is what I interpreted, versus my Indian colleague didn't really think deadline meant final deadline.
Okay.
It was the first step in a long series of the project timeline. So defining key terms like deadlines, project success might be important.
Yeah, I think it's actually, when you say direct communication, it sounds like there's no thought behind it. It sounds like it's blunt and it's very, very cute. And but it takes more thinking because you have to be clear about the definition. You have to sort of be specific, which means you need to make sure that everybody understands things. It's actually a lot of times more cumbersome to be direct.
And it requires a lot of thinking and skills. Okay, good. So that is the language aspect. And finally, techniques.
Yes. So when it comes to communication technique, I think one thing that will help is double checking. So when you say, something that you communicate, you want to make sure that the other side understood it. So checking. Every time you say something, was that clear, or do you have any questions? These are quick techniques to make sure that the understanding is there. You can even go as far, if it's very important, to have them repeat what you just said.
So what can you exactly say to have someone repeat or confirm their understanding?
Yes, so what I often do is that, was that clear? Would you be able to, write it somewhere? So it doesn't always have to be verbal repetition, right? Can you write that down and send it to me so that we can make sure that we're on the same page or something like that?
Definitely, yeah. And I think this also goes back to mindset and knowing people's values and their cultural backgrounds as well. When I was working for a global team, some people from certain cultures felt it difficult to show that they didn't understand something or that they were unclear about something, and they would pretend that they would understand something. So knowing each and every one of your colleagues and team members and clients and their communication style is also important. Right? Okay, great. Any other communication techniques?
One last thing is to be, once again, when you say, when you ask someone to repeat themselves or clarify things so that you're on the same page, tell them that you're doing it for a purpose, right? It's not because you think they didn't understand you, it's because you feel it's important to be on the same page.
So for example, if we're in a meeting and you keep on telling me, do you understand? Or is everything clear? It might sound a little condescending. So you want to always make sure, do you understand? I'm only asking you because I want to make sure that we're on the same page. Or can you repeat that back to me? Because I'm still unsure about this. So I'm trying to see that we can confirm our mutual understanding of this, right? So always telling people the purpose of why you're confirming something is good. All right, well, this is only the tip of the iceberg for good communication. These are very useful skills and tips about mindset, language, and technique. But there's so much more to being a good communicator. So please continue to check our blogs. We update it with many articles about good communication. And please feel free to join a SparkDojo event to practice your communication skills. All right, so see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye-bye.